Hey everyone, this is Leanne from Of Love and Shiplap and the founder of Sublimation graphics and tutorials on Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our tutorials. We are completing another 20 minutes sublimation design using elements from Creative Fabrica today. In honor of July 4th, American Independence Day, I thought that I would go ahead and create a sublimation tumbler design. We're going to be working in Affinity Designer today, which of course is our go-to software. You can find a variety of project-specific tutorials for free on our YouTube channel. If you enjoy this and you are interested in learning the full scope of everything that you can do in Affinity Designer, then check out the Affinity Designer Digital Graphic Design Masterclass for Sublimation. This is a 100-hour beginner-friendly, learn at your own pace on your own time video course. It is incredibly in-depth. You don't need to know anything to get started, and it includes interactive design challenges and chances to win prizes. Use the code SUBTHAT to save $30. That link is in the video description. So let's go ahead and get started by opening up just my standard run-of-the-mill size document for a tumbler. So I'm going to come to File and New. I actually have it preset here. It is 9.2 inches by 8.15 inches, 8.15 being the height, 9.25 being the width. And this is my average size for a tumbler. It tends to work perfectly for tumbler designs, and then I can just easily trim them a little bit based on the actual tumbler that I decide to print. Now I have this saved as a preset. If you would like to save it as a preset, just enter in your dimensions and hit that little plus sign and it will add it to your preset section. You can then right click on it to rename it. Always make sure that you're at 300 DPI. Here we go. And you can change your document units right in the drop down. For sublimation, we want to make sure that our color format is set to RGB/8 and our color profile is set to sRGB IEC 61966-2.1. This is the most current color profile for RGB/8. Mac users may find that the Adobe RGB 1998 works better for them. That is the previous color profile for RGB/8 color format. And keep in mind that your color profile for your document is completely different than the ICC profile for your printer. That has nothing to do with your document setup. That is in your printer settings when you actually go to print your designs. Once you have everything set, go ahead and click Create to get started. Now, I'm going to be using some digital paper and clip art elements and a font from Creative Fabrica. I'm envisioning sort of creating like a fade down nighttime background with some fireworks. So I'm going to start by adding a navy blue block to the back that is going to be just my base background. So we're going to come over here to our rectangle tool. I'm going to click on that. I am going to come up to my context toolbar here. For stroke, I'm going to choose no fill. That's the circle with the red line through it. And for fill, I'm looking for like a really navy blue. I want it to be pretty dark. All right, so you can see it's pretty dark. It's almost to that black point. That's what we're going to use to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and start at my top corner. I want this to fill my whole background space. So I'm going to come right up until I see that red and green line going across my screen. These are our snapping guides for our X and Y axis, and you can activate them by selecting this magnet icon. I'm going to come right up there and just click and drag right down to the diagonal corner in the bottom right, and once again making sure I have that red and green line letting me know that I'm right on the edge. So this is going to be my background layer. I can actually just go ahead and lock that so we don't accidentally move it around. Now I'm going to import a digital paper. I'm going to go to File, Place, and come over here to where I downloaded this. I've got these Independence Day seamless digital papers that were available on Creative Fabrica. Creative Fabrica is one of the only websites, not one of, it is the only website that I have a membership to. I primarily use it for digital papers and fonts. I definitely get my money's worth with my membership, and I highly recommend you grab it as well, especially if you think you're going to do any kind of designing for yourself. The fonts alone make it worth it. There is over 74,000 fonts available, and I find that I can find something for just about anything. Now this background here, I just clicked and dragged after it was imported so I could bring it across the page. I want to remove the white. So what I'm going to do is right click on it and select rasterize. And then I'm going to click on my pixel persona, which is this little icon up here that has the little squares. Next, I'm going to come to select and choose select sampled color and click on the white. By default, it should pick up the white anyways, but always good measure just to click on it to be sure. I'm going to go ahead and click apply. And then I'm going to come to edit and delete. You can also use the backspace key, or you can use the delete key if you're working on a Windows computer. I do know that that does not work on a Mac. Next, I am going to come to select and choose deselect, or you can enter Control or Command plus D. I'm going to come back over to my designer persona, which is the little blue Affinity icon. So all I did was remove the background so I could have these elements here and leave my navy blue behind. Now I want this to fade out. We have a transparency tool, but the transparency tool does not work on pixel layers. If we click that layer and we try and do anything, it does not pick it up. That is because this is a vector program, so we need a vector layer. So I'm going to select my rectangle tool again, and I'm going to click and drag over top. I'm not making it all the way up, I just want it about halfway. And then I'm going to grab my transparency tool. I'm going to start right in the center there and go ahead and click and drag. Now I can adjust my start and stop point, and I can adjust the gradient by sliding this part here. I'm going to bring that all the way down and just adjust that little slider there until I'm satisfied with how it is tapering off. I am thinking that I want this background to be just a little bit darker, so I'm going to select that rectangle and I'm going to move this just a little bit more in my color wheel here. If you don't see the wheel when you have that color tab selected, just click on this little icon here. This is called a panel menu icon, and check wheel. I am going to update this color as well. I think we might have gone a little too far to the black. Let's try. There we go. I still want it to be a little bit blue. It just seems like too much blue is the problem. All right, I like that. We've got two different darker blues just to give it a nice gradient effect. Next, I want to add some fireworks. So I'm going to come to File, Place, and I also downloaded these really pretty gold foil firework bursts from Creative Fabrica. Now these are actually available in the vector format as well if you wanted to import them and then be able to color them individually. I really like the gold, so I'm just going to grab the gold ones and choose that instead. I'm just going to select a few of them that I really like. No real right or wrong option here. Let's see. I'm not sure if we'll use them all, but I'm going to select them all. Okay. You'll see this little panel come up, and I'm just going to click and drag each one and just size it on there, and then I'll go ahead and start moving them around and resizing them to fill up my little top area. All right, so I'm just going to resize these, sort of arrange them wherever I want in my sky. All I'm doing is grabbing that corner node and resizing them. Super easy. And also, this is these fireworks can overlap as well. Some of these ones that have the little middle pieces versus this one that doesn't, they can overlap to give them a more dynamic look, which I really like that as well. So I'm gonna put this one up here. And you can rotate them by grabbing your little handle that's right here that allows you to rotate. I want at least one really big one. And let's see. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe make this one a little bit smaller because they are kind of on top of each other. Oh, I like those two like that a little bit more. Okay, let's maybe move this one in. All right. I think it wouldn't hurt to have maybe one more firework, but I'm going to leave it for right now. We can always come back and change it. Now, anytime I do a sky, I always want to add some kind of starry background because it just helps it look more dimensional and less flat. I'm going to do that with the Xenon Galactic brush. This is one of my favorite brush packs because it has little starbursts in it and lens flares and like star dust. So it's very versatile for this particular use. It's a raster based brush, so we need to select the pixel persona again because raster based brushes are only visible in the pixel persona and vector based brushes are only visible in the designer persona. I'm going to come down to where you see this little checkerboard in the bottom. Click on that to choose add pixel layer and click and drag to bring it below all of my gold burst fireworks. You want to make sure that you can see the full rectangle here. That's how you know that it's actually going below it, not going into it, which would be if it was like this. I am going to select my paintbrush tool from my tools toolbar, tools panel, and come to brushes and select my Xenon brush. All right, so I'm using the Xenon Galactic. This one has all these little stardust. I know it's a little hard to see, but I'm going to grab this Helios one. That's one of my favorites. And then I'll click on my color panel, make sure I got white selected. And I'm just going to sort of add that in the background. Now I want it to sort of fade out, so I'm just going to tap around instead of holding the cursor down, the mouse key down, because when you hold it down, it's going to be more concentrated. And that's fine for at the top, but I want it to sort of fade down. All right. I'm pretty happy with this. This is like a great background. And now I think we can just add any kind of text that we would like to add on this. I'm also rethinking this one rectangle and thinking that I might need this one to actually be closer to black, so that I have like a blue to a black, and maybe just bring it down some. One of the things that I always appreciate about vector artwork is that it's easy to adjust your layers. So bring that down. I like the black bottom, perfect. And now we can go ahead and add some text or a name, anything that we would really like on our background. To do that, we'll go ahead and switch back over to our designer persona by clicking on that little icon that looks like the Affinity logo. And then I'm going to come down to where I see the A, and I want to make sure that I have the artistic text tool selected. So that's the one that's just the A, not the T with the box around it. I'm going to select that artistic text tool and click and drag. Now I'm going to use this font called Stardom. This is also from Creative Fabrica, and it's just a fun, playful font. All right, I'm going to type red, white, and Boozy. So I've got my red, white, and I'm just centering it. Usually I do text a little bit higher up on a tumbler, but since we have this nice gradient effect, I'm just going to find the middle here. Let's see. We're looking for that, I keep missing it, that red line right there. That is the horizontal axis, and then we have the vertical axis with the green line, so we are right in the middle there. I want it right there where the bottom of my letters is touching that red line. And then I'll click my artistic text tool again to start a second one. And this is going to say Boozy. I'm going to select that, come up here to another free font, size it up. That might be a little too big. All right, now I could have this centered, but I think let's do the lowercase b if we're going to have it centered. And maybe we'll try out some of the alternate characters with this particular Madeline calligraphy font. We can do that by coming to View, Studio, and selecting Glyph Browser. And then you'll be able to see all the alternate characters here. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to highlight this B to start. And then I'll see what they got for little B's in here. If yours looks really small, just click on the panel menu icon that's right there and choose to resize it. Anytime you see this little tiny lined menu anywhere on any panel, it is the panel menu icon for that panel that you're in. So when you click on that, it's going to give you whatever options are available for that panel. So let's see how this one looks. I think that might be a little too much. So we're going to highlight that again, and let's try this one where it's down low. There we go. A little bit lower is working a little bit better. And let's do the same thing for our Y. So I'm going to highlight the Y, scroll down to where the Y's are. And I want to sort of match the other one. All right, I think that one is a good one. I'm going to X out of that because I'm all set there. Let's center this one as well. There we go. I'm going to move that one up just a little bit and maybe make this a little bit smaller. Okay, perfect. Very happy with where we're going here. Now I do think my text either needs to come down a little bit or I need to offset it. So I'm going to start by moving it down. I'm pretty happy with that. The only last thing that I want to do is I'm going to group this together. So select both layers, right click and group. And then come to my effects panel and I'm going to choose 3D. I'm going to increase that radius. And I'm going to decrease the opacity just so I get a nice little 3D effect there. If you feel like it's still getting lost in your background, you can always choose to add an outline. And for this one, I'm going to click on that color box, grab my dropper, and bring it into that dark blue there. And then add the outline. Now an outline's a little bit different from a stroke because an outline goes around the letters, and I mean, a stroke goes around the letters too, but an outline is sort of like behind it. It's not going to interfere with like script letters and things like that. So by just adding enough of an outline there to sort of break up the background, our text is showing up much better. And now I can decide if maybe I want to move that up. Okay, I think I might be happy with it up more. Just want to make sure that that is centered. Perfect. Now, as far as the bottom goes, you could choose to put, anything that you wanted in there. I didn't really plan anything for that space. I think that this is perfectly fine. This will make a really fun Tumblr for July 4th. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, my document, so I can always come back to this later. You do that by going to File and Save As. This will open up your file explorer and you can go ahead and save this. I always do mine underscore design file just because it makes it easier when I'm trying to find something. And then if you want to print this, if you're ready to print, go ahead and go to file and then export. And this is going to save the actual PNG layer that will retain all of the effects and everything else that you have here. A nice flattened SVG for you, and not SVG, a flattened PNG for you. And you can just export it just like that as your PNG file and go ahead and print it and sublimate it on whatever you would like. So quick and easy to assemble different types of designs using elements from Creative Fabrica. The membership is amazing. I highly recommend it. I love to get digital papers and fonts from there in particular. There is so much to choose from. I always find what I'm looking for. You can find the 2 fonts and the other elements that we used from Creative Fabrica in the video description, as well as the link to sign up for the Affinity Designer Digital Graphic Design Masterclass for Sublimation if you are interested in that as well. Thank you so much for joining us for this 20-minute sublimation design tutorial. Quick and easy. Hope you have a great rest of your day.